Starting your career in the technology industry can be both an exciting and a challenging time. And as we spoke about in previous podcast episodes, it can offer you a wide range of skills and potential future opportunities. Now, what are some of these main opportunities you can look for? And how do you land that perfect first working experience? We're going to talk about that and so much more on this episode of Anyline, Anytime. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Anyline, Anytime. My name is Mark Babin, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you all watching this episode and joining us for this great discussion. Now, as you'll know from our introduction, today we're coming back to the topic of internships and work experience, something we have spoken about a few weeks ago. Now, to do this, I am joined by two very special guests on the podcast to discuss how their internships have been going and, more importantly, what lessons they're going to take forward with them into their careers and how you can benefit from that knowledge. Joining me for this conversation is Lea Schwaiger and Fabian Hildesheim, two interns that are currently working with our team in both the marketing and development teams, respectively. Lea, Fabian, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. It's great to have you here and appreciate the opportunity to discuss this interesting subject with you. So thanks for being here.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Lea. Hi, Mark. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Great. Yeah, thanks again for being here. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know it's one we've been planning for a while and talking about, so it's great to finally have the session. So again, thanks for being with me today. Now, probably one of the biggest challenges that are facing new graduates is choosing a suitable workplace for that first opportunity, given everything that you're looking for in an opportunity, good work-life balance, of course, a supportive team, but then also to have that position fill essentially what you're looking for out of your career and to match what you've been studying. So I'd really like to start the conversation by getting to know what brought your attention to Anyline, what brought it to this tech industry, and how did you approach applying for the current internship that you're in? Lea, if I could come to you on this first question.
Yeah, well, so initially I've heard about Anyline from a friend of my father's who has been working for Anyline for quite some time, actually. And since I'm still studying at the University of Vienna and, with COVID, we all have distance learning. And so I couldn't really go to university, but I kind of figured that I'd like to have some consistency and some routine back in my life. And the way for me to do that was through getting a part-time job. So as I said, through my father's friend, I've heard that Anyline is hiring and they have a lot of different options for students like me. So I just reached out to my father's friend and he connected me with human resources. So I had an interview with Sylvia, who's from human resources, and afterwards with the head of PR and content with Mike. And yeah, so basically after my second interview, I landed the position here. So now I'm a marketing assistant.
Yeah,
at Anyline.
Absolutely. And it's been great to have you. Fabian, coming to you, has your experience been any different on how you found us and how you approached the opportunity?
Well, it has actually been quite similar to Lea's experience.
Okay.
So I also found out about Anyline through my personal network and looked at the website and the LinkedIn profile and then decided to apply. And it was actually quite a smooth process. Also with the first interview with Sylvia, and the former CTO, Daniel Albertini. And then the second interview was also with Christian Pichler, the current CTO. And it worked out really nicely, and it was a really interesting process.
So both capitalizing on your network. So you've learned the trick early, and I love it. And I'm really happy you brought that up. So once you found the opportunity and you decided to pursue it, what made you decide to pursue it? What was the deciding factor for you to go, yes, Anyline is the place I want to be? Fabian, to stick with you here.
Well, I initially applied to Google and to Boston Consulting for internships, and both declined, and they had a similar answer saying that it could be interesting in the future, but I need to gather some experience abroad and also working experience. So I should apply in a couple of years later. And with this experience, I thought that a startup with like a lot of purpose and a great technology would be the place to go to. And I actually looked at several image recognition startups in the medical industry, and then looked at Anyline, and in the end, it really convinced me, talking to Christian Pichler and having a lot of great technology subjects that can be tackled at Anyline. And I really underestimated it at first, but when talking to Christian, he really convinced me quickly that Anyline is a really cool company to work for, especially in regards to AI and deep learning.
So something you could really sink your teeth into and gain that experience was kind of the main reason that you wanted to come to this place for this step in your career.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Lea, coming to you, is it a similar kind of thing? Is it kind of you're using this as an experience opportunity gainer, or was there something else that drove your decision to join the team?
Well, I think there are a couple of factors really, but I'd like to elaborate on the main one.
Please.
For me. So apart from, as I said, wanting a consistency back in my life, I also wanted to get some work experience in marketing, because I've never worked in marketing before. But as I said, I'm still studying. So of course, right, I don't have a lot of work experience here. So, and when I had the interview with Mike, with the head of PR, he told me that they want to show me everything there is to marketing. So, and for me to hear that was amazing, right? Because I don't have work experience. I want to get this work experience. And he was just, you guys, you're opening all possible opportunities for me here. So yeah, that's just what I figured was the most amazing thing. And yeah, you told me that you want to show me everything there is. And if there's something I'd like to stick with, or something that I'm really interested in, that I can, develop my skills further. And I think that's, for a student, it's the best possible outcome, actually. Well,
yeah,
looking for a job.
Absolutely. Getting a seat at the round table, more or less, getting the opportunity to sink your teeth into projects and contribute to things in real time, rather than just being, I guess, stuck in a cubicle in the corner and given, here's your task for the day, being able to contribute in both your respects is what you're saying. No, I love that. I think it's a really nice thing to highlight. So coming on to the experiences that you've gained, now that we've kind of bridged into that, Fabian, coming to you first, what has your experiences been like at Anyline? What's your work-life balance like? How are you enjoying it? And what do you like most about it so far?
What I previously said, I really underestimated the kind of technologies that we're dealing with around here. In regards to AI, we've got topics like few-shot learning and explainability of AI and neural network pruning, and these are so exciting for people who are interested in AI.
So beyond me, but I love it.
No, they are beyond me as well. But I'm just studying in my bachelor's, but. It's really cool to have these people around you with PhDs and a lot of domain knowledge in this high-tech field. And at the same time, you've got such a great atmosphere around here. Normally, I always thought company values are part of the marketing thing of a company. And of course, you try to get people and convince them that it's a nice atmosphere to work here. But it really is. I can walk around and ask questions, and everybody's really supportive and helpful, and especially like supporting responsibility that you take for topics that interest you and pathways you want to head in.
Yeah, I can certainly mirror that. When I started as well, it was no one ever says no to anything. Like, everyone's willing to help you. Even if they don't know the answer, they'll find you the answer. So that's a fantastic point to highlight. Lea, on your side, what has your experience been like so far over the last couple of months? Is it different from what Fabian is sharing, like that kind of atmosphere, or are you seeing anything different?
Not concerning the atmosphere, but I guess my workday is kind of different, of course. Different. Because as I said, you guys want to show me everything, and that means that my workday never is like the second, so it's always very different. But that's actually something that I really like, because as I said, I'm getting a lot of different inputs here, or you're just showing me so much. And so one day I'll be writing a blog with Mike, and then I'll be doing some research on industry, and then again I'll be doing a promo video with you. So it's always very, very different. And I guess that's just the difference between our internships here, that I'm always doing something else. And you're in the development department, so of course
you're sinking your teeth into more specific things, but still a diversity in what you're doing, imagine, on a day-to-day.
Yeah, a lot. And maybe as an example, like a standard workday for me, like especially in the first months, looked like, I initially got the task to figure out a way to make, to evaluate our products.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like when I come into the office in the morning, I've got 1 or 2 meetings scheduled and I can always talk to people, but generally I can choose my way of approaching tasks, and like I can make up my own schedule. Like in my entire 4-month internship, no one ever told me what to do. And I think this is incredible for
you knew where the end goal was, and it was your choice on how you chose to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And people gave me advice and what way not to approach things, but no one ever told me what to do or to
task by task.
Yeah, task by task, or like make a PowerPoint or do this or do that. This just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and Lea, probably the same for you. And I know obviously we're working a bit closer on the marketing side, but whenever a task is given, it's more of just here's best practices, but you approach it how you want to approach it. And I think that's kind of echoed no matter where we go, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the huge asset about working at a startup, because in comparison to maybe to a traditional company or a corporate company, that you have a lot of independence here, and when we did an interview together, it's like it's not so much you're able to try something, and if you're failing, it's not like you won't get nobody's going to cut your head off because you're failing and you tried something and you failed at what you did.
And you learned.
Working here is a whole learning progress, actually. So
no, that's really, really nice. And so I guess bouncing off of that, and like I said, a lot of what you shared echoes what I know I feel and what I certainly felt in the first months and in the first year, and still feel today with the team. Like a lot of what you're saying, it's not about dictating how you get to that end result. It's more of, this is where the company's goal is. How can we best get there as a team? And I think you both have reflected that in your experiences so far. So no, that's really great. I'd love to hear what kind of unexpected challenges or opportunities came your way during your time so far. Lea, on your side, anything that was maybe not how you expected it to be, but was a bit better, was a bit worse, anything like that?
I mean, it's hard to say, because maybe it goes hand in hand with my last answer, just, having a different workday every single week, because then it's always unexpected. Somehow every task has something unexpected to it. But for me coming here, probably the most unexpected thing was the whole tech language and getting to know the tech language. But then again, unexpected opportunities. I have so many unexpected opportunities here, because every single day I'm able to find something that I enjoy, and just it's always different, and I can find where my skills maybe are or where I'm better. And so no task is like the other, and some tasks are easier for me than others, of course, but it's just an unexpected opportunity because I get to see a lot of different aspects of marketing, and I'm just also finding out a lot about myself, I guess, while doing so.
What you enjoy and what you don't.
Yeah.
And though taking a step back, did you expect it to be like that? Did you expect to come in and have every day be different? Was that something that you didn't see coming?
No, not really. Because I do have work experience ever since I was 15, but just never in some company like Anyline, actually. I'm used to getting in by 8, getting out by 5, and doing the same task over and over again. And that way also perfectionizing one task, but maybe not so many different tasks, or being good at many different tasks, actually.
Yeah, having to wear multiple hats in a day and be efficient at all of them.
Yeah, but I really like that you guys are making me more versatile and just
pushing you out
flexible.
Your comfort zone, I guess, as much as possible. Yeah.
But I think that's the best way to learn, actually. So
that's also really great to know.
Yeah, finding out a lot about myself here. So
yeah, I think that's a really nice and unexpected outcome. I certainly wouldn't have thought of that myself, because I guess it's been so long since my first job opportunity. You guys make me feel like a dinosaur, but having that first initial job and learning about yourself during that process is extremely valuable. And I love how you brought that up. That's really great. Fabian, coming to you, anything unexpected? I know you said that there was a lot that you didn't foresee as far as the technology stack, But as far as your day-to-day work, anything that approached or that came up that was not what you expected it to be?
Well, I realized that I had a lot of presumptions and biases in regards to work atmosphere and work-life balance. Because I always thought that it's nice to work 10 or 12 hours a day and have like a lot of stress and like a lot of stuff to do. Like some of my friends do internships in consulting or other industries, and they do have a lot of stress, but I don't think that they actually have a nice time. And I mean, we work at Anyline and we have a really great time and we learn a lot of stuff. And what Lea just pointed out about the industry, I think it's a big thing to work in the AI industry, where it's just a mega trend, and a lot of companies like Anyline really get funded well and have a lot of processes just going upwards, and with this a lot of opportunities to have impact even as interns.
Yeah, and I think that's what Danny brought up in our previous podcast, was the impact you can have. I think surprises a lot of people that you're able to contribute to live projects, not just stuff in the back end, not stuff that's just cataloged, which would be more traditional in a corporate environment. And maybe that's why it's less fun, but because you're contributing to things that could go out tomorrow, it makes your work more meaningful. And I think you can enjoy it more that way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So coming to the lessons that you've learned so far, obviously you've both been in the internship positions long enough, hopefully to have some lessons come out of it. But we know that every job you do, there's tons you learn, and every project you're in, there's more that you learn, whether you make a mistake and you know not to go that way the next time, or maybe it's just the way to approach a project, but there's always something to learn. So Lea, coming to you, I'd love to know what you've learned so far, and what stood out in your mind the most.
So apart from improving my English, which I love, I have learned that being willing to work trumps being an expert in a task. And what I mean by that is that before working at Anyline, I used to do a task over and over again, and until I bring it to perfection. And here at Anyline, I've learned to be more flexible and more versatile. And that, I guess, you can only achieve if you really want to work and put effort into it, because it really takes passion and the will to work to always challenge yourself with a new task. And I have seen that motivation for work in every single person here at Anyline, which again motivates me to work as well as I can.
Because you enjoy it, you're contributing, you enjoy the work you do, and that passion comes out naturally in the actual project, rather than just doing something because that's what you're doing from 9 to 10.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the marketing team, it's amazing. I love being around you guys. It's a lot of fun, and you know, it's always the atmosphere, like Fabian said, is just, it's the best. And if you like the atmosphere you're in, I think also you probably put more effort into your work as well. So
being in that enjoyable place makes you just a stronger contributor.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Helps a lot.
That's really well said. Fabian, obviously working on the development side of things. Obviously, we're going to take away different specific learnings, but what has stood out in your mind as far as what you've learned maybe about yourself or about the work itself?
Well, as well as Lea, I was very surprised about how Anyline tackles the issue of motivation, because I've with every week I felt more motivated to work, because more of my own thoughts were actually in the process of solving the problem. So I could really implement what I thought, and I didn't really have to be one processing step of another person's mission or to accomplish a goal, but I could really do and solve my own problems. And it felt more like I had my own mini startup within Anyline, where I could tackle the issue of evaluating the products. And I mean, I had a lot of great supervisors with Stefan Viel and Christian Pichler. And if you work or if you're a student in the tech industry and looking either to do an internship or to write a thesis, I would really, really advise you to apply here at Anyline and maybe ask even for these supervisors, because it was a truly great time.
And mention the podcast. You heard it here first. Oh, that's really nice. That's a great learning to take away.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So given the information that you shared so far, it certainly sounds like that you both enjoyed the opportunity so far. I think that's fair to say that you've enjoyed what you've been doing and what you've been able to contribute to, and are certainly looking forward to using that in your future career steps, wherever that may be. So on that point, I'd like to know what specific things, whether a learning or a specific situation, one you've mentioned here or perhaps not yet, that you think will help you in that next career step. So something that you've learned that you will take forward with you and hold on to that memory or that specific learning that'll help you in your next career step. So Lea, coming to you first, if I could.
Yeah, for me, I guess what I will take away the most is just to not overanalyze a task, but simply get going and do it. Because it's so easy to get nervous about getting new tasks, right? The being anxious about maybe failing or not handling it well. But what I realized is just if I'm gonna get going on the task and then I'll realize where I might have some troubles, and then I'm also able to pose the right questions to the right people, right? Because everybody here is super helpful. Nobody is mad if you're asking questions, right? So just get going on the task and do your best. And if you have questions, then just ask them because people are always here. And so, yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest learning for me, just to not overanalyze the task ahead of doing it or before doing it, but just get going, and then you will figure it out with the help of your team. So
yeah, that's a really nice thing to recognize, I think, so early on in a career, because how many people just are afraid to ask for help, and then they end up, in trouble, or they don't do the task to their best of their ability because they just simply didn't ask. So I think taking that forward is a really nice thing to already identify. Yeah. And you're right, in an environment like this, people don't say no. And if they don't know the answer, they'll help you find the answer. So it's really that team working toward the end goal again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no shame in asking, right? So.
Never. No, you'll never know the answer if you don't ask. And someone may have something that just gives you a spark.
Yeah,
that can keep you going.
Everybody has different expertise around here. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. Some studied psychology, some marketing. So, and there's also no shame in recognizing that a lot of people know stuff that you don't know anything about. So asking the questions will get you further in life, just in general.
Yeah, no, that's really well said. So speaking of people who know things that no one else knows, Fabian, coming to you. I always have to refer to the development team because every time I talk to a developer of any kind, it's just like the capacity you guys have is unreal, just in the different way that you can understand information. And it blows my mind every time. So coming to you kind of on the same question, given the different experiences you've had, what will you take forward into your next career step? What do you think will benefit you the most as you continue your career, wherever it may be?
Well, for me personally, I really underestimated the impact of meaning and purpose with your job, because I approached the whole career planning thing very rationally and strategic, and I tried to make the perfect pathway to the super career. And I think a lot of people, especially on universities like the TU Munich, a lot of people orient themselves towards those big names. And really underestimate them, what meaning and purpose in your everyday job actually,
how it affects you.
Yeah, exactly, how it affects you and how it motivates you. So I think what I will take away from this experience is to trust my gut feeling and trust into myself that I will find a pathway that I feel
natural and organic about, rather than forced.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, and like I pursue meaning.
Yeah, and having more value in that rather than all the intangible things, I guess, that one would think of with a job. So will that affect where you apply to next, or where you look for to work, or the questions you ask when you're on a job? Will that learning and what you take forward there, will that affect how you approach everything in the future?
Well, I hope it will.
Yeah, well, I think you recognizing it now certainly means that it'll be on your mind.
Definitely. And I think I will have less moments where I compare myself to other people and look at their LinkedIn profile and think like, oh my God, how does he manage to do this?
Right. Yeah, that's a really mature thing to realize, I think, so soon, because you stop caring less about the audience and you're caring more about what matters to you and how does that position affect you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Anyline is a great place to start this pathway to meaning, because there's so many things you can do and so many different aspects where you can have a responsibility and take courage. And yeah, well, I mean, what do you think, Lea?
No, I absolutely agree with Fabian on this one. I'm just nodding my head in agreeing.
No, I think you're hitting a lot of the right points and a lot of things that I know myself personally and a lot of friends that have kind of come up over the last decade, that to know these things earlier on, if I would have had an opportunity to join a company as, impactful as something like this or in this industry, I think it would have influenced my direction, because I think a lot of people take that analytical approach, not realizing how big of an impact step 1 and step 2 can have. They immediately think of, I just got to get through these to get to step 10. They don't think about what they can actually capture in those first opportunities. So I think what you've both said has really highlighted the importance of that and the fact that this will now impact your step 2. And I think that's a really nice thing to realize so early on. So really, really appreciate those answers. Thank you. So coming to the end, I'd love to touch on some tips and tricks for the audience listening. I know a lot of people graduating are going to want to know how they can land this kind of opportunity or head into this sector. So for those listening, what tips and tricks do you have up your sleeve that can benefit those looking to get into this industry, approaching jobs like this, and getting an internship or work experience for some type of company that has this impact? What tips and tricks do you have, Fabian, coming to you?
Well, I think this is a difficult question to answer. I mean, I'm 21 years old and I've only applied to a few companies, and some of these interviews really went wrong. And I think the worst interviews were the ones where I tried to be come across competent and really talk about domain expert knowledge. And I think the ones that, like the one at Anyline, went really well because I stayed in my circle of competence. Mm-hmm. And I mean, as an undergraduate and graduate coming from university, this circle is probably going to be quite small. But especially for development interviews, it's nice when you have a rational approach and try to be yourself. And
yeah, I think be yourself is a really key point, that people who are coming out of school, they try to be too much. They try to talk a big game when they just need to be themselves and talk about what they're passionate about. So when you were having those discussions, specifically the one here, did you feel like the conversation just ignited a bit more passion in you about what you could potentially be doing? Is that something that you would give advice to those listening to really embrace that passion towards the subject?
Well, I think 1 or 2 minutes into the conversation with Christian Pichler, I realized, oh man, this guy really has so many subjects I'm interested in, and I can learn a lot from him. And yeah, probably that's good advice to be open to ask questions, because the person that's going to be interviewing you will know a lot more about the subjects than you do, probably.
Yeah, so just be confident in what you know. I think that there's something there. Like, be confident. You have to be confident, but don't boast yourself up to a level where you think you need to be. Just be yourself and be confident in what you know, and let that organic passion come through, I think is really nice said. And I think we have to mention also, because you've both taken this route, tap your network as much as possible for these kind of opportunities, because I think once they hit the shelf, once the jobs are posted, it's very likely that perhaps, it's already being lined up, and people's networking abilities can certainly get you in the door a lot faster. Something fair to say, I guess, right, Fabian?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you can also refer to this podcast when applying, because I mean, that's also a great impression to make when you're informed about the company.
Yeah, I know we did our last one. I think it was a month ago. We did our one with Sylvia and Danny, and I was walking by the University of Vienna, and I had actually a couple students come up to me and said they listened and I applied and I can't wait to have a talk. And that means so much, right? Because it tells that they're interested in the company enough to connect with what we're saying today. And I certainly look forward to those listening to take that opportunity as well and start creating that network. And that's exactly how you get in the door to a lot of these places, is do the unexpected, right? So I think you highlighted that really well. Lea, coming to you, I want to turn this question around a little bit. When we're looking at the internship experience itself, how do you make the most out of the time that you're here? So how do you squeeze every last ounce of juice out of the opportunity?
I mean, I absolutely agree with everything Fabian just said. Just staying in your circle of competence and also inform yourself about the company. But for me, I guess my focus is more on just prove that you're willing to work and be kind and sociable. Because everybody here is so down to earth and likes to interact with people. And as we discussed it once, one of the best things about working in an office is that while discussing with people or with your team, you can find new ideas, or maybe there's a spark and you can develop on certain ideas, right? So I think also that if you're that kind and sociable person and who likes to interact with the team, that you're going to be a huge asset for the team just because you're contributing by,
just being there. Yeah,
just being there and just be open-minded and, like to talk. And I guess my tip for if you want to be working at Anyline as an intern is also just prove that you're willing to work and then also be kind and sociable so that you have good stories to tell over a cup of coffee as well. So I think it has to be a balance, right? So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, totally. I think don't undervalue just being in the setting itself and soak everything up.
Yeah.
Take in what you're listening to, contribute when you can, and not being afraid to take on a task that maybe, and you mentioned it earlier, just to sink into something and then ask questions. I think taking ownership in something right away is something that would be extremely valuable for anyone in any internship, I suppose.
Yeah, but like you said, well, how can one get the most out of it? I think if you are willing to work and if you find joy in what you're doing, you will take the most out of it, right?
Well said.
Because if it's fun, people like to have fun. And if work is fun, I mean, it's the best possible outcome. Yeah,
a core necessity of enjoying your work is enjoying what you do and who you're around.
Yeah.
And if it's a nice place to be, then you'll enjoy being there. You'll contribute to the best of your ability and you'll give 110% rather than just show up, do the work and go home.
Yeah. And you spend a lot of your day at work, right? So if you're getting along with the people as well. Huge bonus. Big bonus.
No, that's amazing. Some really fantastic tips there for those listening and a really great way to bring this episode to a close. So I've loved this conversation. Thank you both so very much for everything you've contributed. I've learned a lot personally just listening to your answers. And I know those listening will hopefully absorb just as much information and have taken notes on how they can approach an opportunity like this. So really, really good and hopefully something that we'll see more and more interns coming into these positions to gain kind of that similar knowledge and of course their own perspectives once they enter the workplace. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to what this brings. And again, thank you both so very much for contributing and not only to this podcast, but to making Anyline better, to elevating our product, elevating the company. The work's been fantastic across the board and it's been fantastic having you both as part of the team. So thank you for today and thank you for all of that. I think it's meant a lot to the team. So yeah, bringing things to a close, any final notes you wish to share, Lea?
Well, thanks for doing the podcast with us and for showing interest in our insights. And I'm just hoping that our insights are useful to somebody out there who really wants to work at Anyline because it's amazing. So just recommend it.
I'm sure it will be. Fabian, any last notes from you before we wrap up?
Oh yeah, thanks for having us, Mark. And it's really an honor to be here as an intern. I mean, we're doing a podcast. What a crazy thing is this?
Is it your first one?
Yeah.
Yay, 2 newbies. I love it.
So yeah, apply at Anyline and hopefully you'll have a successful and great time.
Perfect sign off. HR, I hope you're listening. No, brilliant. Again, thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate the time. And the insights have been fabulous. So really appreciate it. Thank you again. And to those listening, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Hopefully you've taken away plenty of information during the talk. I know I certainly have, as I mentioned, a lot of great insights here. And I hope you have done the same. So if you do have any questions about anything you heard today, or you simply want to find out more about a potential opportunity or maybe an internship that you don't see listed anywhere, don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'll drop my LinkedIn description of the video. You'll see it there. You can click on it, drop me a message, or go ahead and just comment on this video. we'll be happy to get in touch. Of course, just drop the company a line or come on by anytime and let's start a conversation. I think that's the best way to get any career going. So don't be afraid. We're here to answer any questions you have. And it's been brilliant to be able to share these amazing insights with you today. So as always, wishing you a fantastic day, no matter where in the world you may be. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy. I'll see you on the next episode.